Hi guys, as I had told in my previous session that I will start an initiative of covering daily current affairs. Based on the recent trend that we saw in the 2026 prelims paper, it's important that we enhance the coverage of our current affairs. And current affairs is one thing that helps you both in prelims and mains. But lot of times where the students go wrong is they read everything but they do not know what to focus on, what sorts of notes to make, what is the purpose of reading current affairs. So these are the issues we will try to address while covering everyday current affairs. I will walk you through the ways these current affairs can be used to frame questions in prelims, or the ways these current affair examples or data points or any other analysis can help you in your mains answers. These are the things you need to extract from current affairs video. One thing which is very important to know is what current affairs reading is not for. It is not to clear your static concepts. You have to make sure that the static concepts are read by you separately and revised well. And while reading current affairs, you should not waste time on material which has already been covered in your static sources. That even if you seem like you have forgotten it, you are going to revise it while reading your static part. So, no need to focus on them while reading the current affairs. What you should be doing is getting that incremental edge by the use of current affairs. Now, once that is out of our way, let's start by looking at the current important current affairs for 27th May 2026. The first news that we have here is the Ministry of Home Affairs has officially constituted a high level committee to study demographic change. Now, important things for us to note is anything which is sort of related with internal security, you will mostly find it is being handled by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So, anytime UPSC asks which ministry constituted such a committee, you must be knowing Union Ministry of Home Affairs. Next, chairmanship. The name is not important. Only thing you have to remember, it's not any minister or such kind. It's just a retired Supreme Court judge. It has been given a tenure of 1 year and it can be extended by 6 months. Another good fact that has been highlighted in this news is the landmark judgment of Sarbananda Sonowal versus Union of India 2005, where the Supreme Court equated the massive influx of illegal immigrants into Assam to external aggression. So these are the sorts of point you have to make sure that comes into your mains answers. Whenever something is being asked about internal security, you have to mention that Supreme Court in their judgment have equated such immigration to external aggression, which is a very strong term as mentioned in the Article 355. Another very good keyword that can be picked from this article is demographic anxiety. It can be possible that UPSC forms a separate question asking about demographic anxiety, and even if it does not, it is a beautiful keyword to be used in your mains answers. What does it mean? It means the anxiety the native people of any place feel by change in demography being caused by illegal migration. This has been a recurring theme in our history, starting with the Assam movement, which was majorly caused by such demographic anxiety only. Now, this committee has been established, but you may ask, what is the need to study demographic changes? The needs are very simple. First, as we read, demographic anxiety. Similar example we can see in the case of Manipur, where the influx of Chin Kuki refugees has caused a crisis there. The second important part is most of our border districts are tribal areas, and protecting these indigenous and tribal identities is a very uh, main concern for the government. Another thing that has been mentioned here is how Benami transactions and marriages of convenience are used to usurp tribal lands. Again, very good example that you can be using in mains. as you will go through this whole document, or you in the entire series, you'll realize I do not focus much on the backstory or any other irrelevant details. All I want to give you is the exact thing that will either help you in prelims or mains, by scouring through all the news articles and just giving you the crux. That will be my motive, to give short, crisp, value loaded content to you guys. Let me know if you find this approach good, and if you want some changes in this approach, you can let me know as well. Okay, moving forward. Another fact that shows concerns is, despite the fact that the total fertility rate has been declining throughout the country, the border districts have shown a decadal growth rates ranging from 29 to 40%. And this is a statistical anomaly that cannot be explained by birth rates. So it's clear the migration into illegal migration is a very real and genuine threat. Another reason to study demographic changes is to preserve the integrity of electoral processes. Another factoid that I found in that article is, the Foreigners Act places the entire burden of proof heavily on the individual to prove they are Indian citizen. That is, it's sort of a reverse burden of proof. Our usual justice system acts where the state has to prove a charge, but under the Foreigners Act, you have the burden of proof to prove that you are an Indian citizen. Since it's a uh, non-intuitive information, so such kind of information wherever you find, you must keep it in your memory, because UPSC is in the habit of asking questions which has facts which may sound counterintuitive at first. Okay. One more case was mentioned in this article was Assam Sanmilta Mahasangh and or ORS versus Union of India. Here also the Supreme Court had directed the union and state governments to undertake a time-bound monitored update of the National Register of Citizens in Assam. So, if at some place you are being asked to justify your stance on why NRC should be done, you can back up your argument by citing this Supreme Court case. Okay. Next important news is Article 142. Again, you should read in detail about Article 142 in your Lakshmikant. I am not going to go into that detail. Rather, what we will be covering is Supreme Court has used its extraordinary powers under this article to declare the right to safe travel on national highways as a fundamental right, specially declaring it an integral part of right to life under Article 21. You must know the Supreme Court has time and again expanded the list of rights which come under Article 21. This is the newest right in that expansion, and now the right to safe travel has been converted into a fundamental rights on national highways. And this judgment was delivered by Supreme Court by taking suo moto cognizance, and in that landmark case of Falodi accident versus NHAI and others 2025. So this case should also be mentioned by you. This can be used at various places. This can be a good example of judicial activism leading to expansion of fundamental rights of individuals, or it can just be a case where what are the different use cases of Article 142. Many places you can use. All these things should go into your notes. Okay. Now, one important principle that has been affirmed by Supreme Court in many cases is, when formal legal justice falls short, Article 142 is there to ensure that the principle of natural justice and fairness must prevail. So, in this year's prelims, you must have seen that UPSC has gotten into the habit of asking analytical questions. So, if you see it, a very beautiful analytical question can be framed where you will be asked, what is the purpose of Article 142? Then one of the options may be where to ensure formal legal justice is upheld. But here it is clearly mentioned that that is not the main objective. The main objective that even when the formal legal justice falls short, the Supreme Court is to ensure complete justice and uphold the principles of natural justice and fairness. That is the main purpose of Article 142. Another very important distinction for your prelims MCQs that Supreme Court has drawn is that the powers of High Court under Article 226 are not co-extensive or at par with the powers under Article 142. So do not get confused if the UPSC frames a statement like Article under Article 142, the Supreme Court gets extraordinary powers like High Court under Article 226. Those kind of sentences are there to mislead you. You should be careful for them. Okay. Uh, Again, some data which was relevant in this article, I have picked that up as well. That even though national highways only comprise of 2% of India's entire road network, they account for an alarming 30% of all road fatalities. Although you can quote this number, but this is a great example of how statistics lies to you, because actually, even though national highways comprise 2% of entire India road network, it accounts for around 30-40% of the total traffic as well. So the actual 30% number is proportionate. Maybe in interview sort of a scenario you can be asked in this much depth, but for mains this data point will suffice. Okay. Again, a very relevant point I saw, which was in line with the trend that UPSC has set, where they are asking what does four betters include, or such terms they are picking directly. Here also there is a 4E framework designed to reduce accidents by 50% by 2030. Now, what are these 4 E's? Education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency medical services. So, you should take a note of that. Next article is on Supreme Court review of wetland conservation rules 2017. So the Supreme Court has agreed to examine the constitutional validity of wetlands rule 2017. Now this rule is again well covered in your static resources. You do not need to waste time learning the exact rules that are there while reading your current affairs. All I need to know, all you need to know is that the petition has challenged the fact that a vast majority of human made and artificial wetlands have been excluded from environmental protection under these rules, and Ramsar Convention explicitly mandates. Focus on the word explicitly, because all the logical elimination techniques has trained you to say that extreme statements are wrong. So whenever you see something which may sound extreme but is true, you should make a note of that. So the Ramsar Convention explicitly mandates the protection of both natural and artificial wetlands, whether permanent or temporary, without distinction. Okay. So this statement, if it comes in UPSC, I'll now expect you to tick the right option. Next news is with respect to PM Vani. Again, you must have seen the past few years UPSC has put a lot of focus on e schemes or anything related to electronic something. So PM Vani is in line with that, where we are setting up Wi-Fi hotspots. Now three new initiatives have been introduced within this. First, QR based authentication. Second, flexible short duration Wi-Fi plans of 15, 30 and 60 minutes. Okay. And third, standardized PM Vani hotspot names. So these three facts you must remember, that what are the new changes introduced under PM Vani. This scheme is launched by Department of Telecom, and another important fact to note is it allows local businesses like shopkeepers to set up Wi-Fi hotspots, which will allow them to provide affordable internet access to common people. I have pasted another important image which shows the entire PM Vani ecosystem. You can go through it and see what are the entities involved. Personally, I do not feel that you do want to go into this much detail, but I have put this for your convenience. If you want, you can go through it. It is managed by C. That's pretty much what you need to remember. Now, the next news contains a very alarming fact for all of us. We must know that our lives have become a lot sedentary. So, reading in UPSC should also impart some right knowledge to you. And this is a very relevant fact for people our age, that non communicable disease were the cause of 60% of all deaths reported during 22 to 24, according to the sample registration system. Now, this has shown an increase of 7.3% between 2015 to 17 to now, that is 22 to 24. So, these are mostly due to the lifestyle changes that we are seeing in our lives. The NCD mortality rates are higher in the urban area and the male population, but it is showing a accelerating trend in both rural population as well as in women. This is a major cause of concern because this is attacking people in the age which is our demographic dividend. That is, adults aged 30 to 44 account for the 19.5% of total deaths. Now, the last news for the day is PM Ajay portal. Ajay is the Pradhan Mantri Anusuchit Jati Abhyuday Yojana. Important things to note is this scheme is under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and they have launched a PM Ajay portal and Ajay mobile app. This is a centrally sponsored scheme. Another important fact to note. And this will create a dashboard to record progress in socio-economic development in more than 47,000 SC majority villages. Now, usually I would not stressed upon this fact, but at this stage UPSC may even ask a question where they will just put an option like PM Ajay dashboard record progress in socio-economic development in all the villages. So here, this is where you can eliminate this statement. The PM Ajay has three components: Adarsh Gram component, Grant in Gate component, and Hostel component. You just need to remember the names for prelims. I don't think this is that much useful for anything else. Especially Hostel component, if there will be it will be there in option, you will logically eliminate it to be wrong. So that's why focus on this. So that was it for today's current affairs. As you can see, we focused a lot on how UPSC frames questions and how we should be reading current affairs so that the relevant facts remain edged in our memory. So that should be your focus. Please keep watching and supporting these videos. If I get a good response on these videos, I'll keep on bringing you similar quality content where instead of focusing on long winded analysis, we will only focus on what's important for our examination, because you do not have all day just to read current affairs. Always remember, static is the king and current affairs is your supporting act. So read it like that only. Thanks and have a wonderful day ahead.